Welcome, fellow anglers, to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I am Captain Ryan Van Fleet, your host here in the Florida Keys. Each week I bring you fishing tips, interviews, gear reviews, and more to help you maximize your fishing trip, catch big fish, and overall have fun. Now, some of you guys may remember that Melinda and I were the U.S. distributors of Jimmy Jigs. Jimmy Jigs are vertical jigs. Now, for those of you who don't know what type of fish those are used for, as I know a lot of people listen to this podcast from around the world, which is very cool to see. So thank you guys for listening. Now, in the Keys, at least, personally, I catch a lot of blackfin tuna and amberjacks on them with an occasional mutton snapper, and if we're really lucky, a nice African pompano. One thing that we were always dealing with was who was happy or unhappy about the assist cords. Yes, the assist cords. I learned that there's lots of opinions and theories about these, but I guess that's fishing. Right? You guys get it. Now, some guys complained when we made the switch from Dacron to Kevlar. Others were happy about it. And then others complained that the assist hooks were too short for certain size jigs. And then the next call or email was from another guy complaining that the assist cords were too long for that same size jig. It's kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Can't please everyone. So here is what I learned about assist cords. These are my personal experiences and opinions. First, let's talk about braided Dacron Assist Cords. My personal opinion, Dacron sucks. I don't use it anymore. The stuff frays pretty easily. It's not abrasion resistant at all. It's very water absorbent, so it falls apart pretty quickly. Once that salt gets in there, it's only a matter of time before it starts to fall apart. Also, Dacron has high amounts of stretch, and therefore it reaches its breaking point sooner than other types of line. Now, stretch degrades line, as you guys know. Now, when it came to hook sets with braided Dacron Assist, I felt the hook sets sucked. with the Dacron Assist Cord, as the stuff is pretty limp and doesn't command that hook at all. Personally, I felt it was tough to drive the hook into a jaw of the fish for a good hook set. And now, okay, aside from the hook sets and the stuff, the Dacron falling apart, Dacron is limp, like I mentioned. And because it's limp, as you're dropping the jig, the stuff would tangle around the main line. It's just too soft. The stuff is just soft. It's too soft. So it would reach up and grab around the main line and grab around the split rings and the solid rings and tangle itself. And it would wrap itself around the main body of the jig. So then your hook would get caught in the jig. This stuff was just a nightmare. So what a lot of guys do is that they buy the Dacron Assist Cords and then they add the shrink tubing to make it stiff to eliminate the tangle issue. But in my eyes, you're adding shrink, which is costing you more money and time. And I don't have time to sit around and shrink a bunch of assist cords. So, but keep in mind, shrink frays pretty easily, guys. So once you catch a nice fish or any type of fish, and those amberjacks have little grinder teeth or the triggers, they'll cut a little nick in your vertical jig that you can't really see. It doesn't take much for salt water to find its way into that. In between the shrink and the assist cord. So that salt water gets in there. There's no way you can wash it out. So what happens is that you're unable to wash your assist cord at the end of the trip. You can't get the salt out of there because it's already seeped in between your shrink and your cord, and that salt's just in there eating away at your cord. And then the next time you go out 3 days later, you hook up to a big fish, beautiful tuna, been waiting for this fish for a while, and boom, there goes that assist cord. Just falls right off. And you're like, what the heck happened? True story, it's happened to me several times. It's happened to guys that I know several times. So in my opinion, shrink is just a Band-Aid. So I would suggest moving on to a different material, but that's just me. I quit using Dacron years ago, and if I do pick up a jig with a Dacron Assist Cord, it gets removed and goes into my garage sale. So I'll if you guys are looking for a good garage sale, we have garage sales twice a year. You can pick up some good used fishing equipment that you can sell on eBay. So I'll keep you guys posted what our annual garage sales are. We got one coming up here pretty quick. But as far as the Dacron goes, I'm not saying that it's, in other words, it's not, it doesn't work for me, but it might work for you and for occasional use, the weekend fisherman. I just don't use it anymore. The stuff doesn't work for me. That's why. So what am I using now? Guys, I'm using high quality red Kevlar that I purchased through Alibaba years ago. I paid about $1,000 for this stuff, so it's quite an investment, but maybe you can find some on eBay that'll work for you. Now, before I spent that much money on Kevlar, I had samples made and I approved them. I wanted to make sure that they held up. So they did go through a quality control test before I approved manufacturing of them. You got to do that kind of stuff when you're spending that kind of money in bulk. Anyways, but getting back to the Kevlar. Kevlar, as far as the product goes, it does last a little longer than Dacron, but it still frays. Now, Kevlar is bulletproof, but it's not toothy critter. It's not toothy critter proof. So don't get fooled in that marketing. It still gets cut pretty easily by the toothy critters. Now, one thing I really like about the Kevlar, actually, there's two things that I really like about the Kevlar that are very important to me that I talked about a little earlier. One is hook sets. Now, since I made this switch to Kevlar, the stuff is a little stiffer, so therefore it commands the hook pretty good, more so than Dacron. So the hook sets are pretty awesome with the Kevlar. I'm like very happy with our hookup rates since I made the change. And number two, the tangles. I am not seeing the tangles like I used to since I made the switch to Kevlar. I am very happy about that. That's more time that jig can be in the water. Therefore, it's more of a chance that that my clients are going to hook up a fish. Now, Kevlar does hate UV light, and it doesn't like salt water. But you got to take good care of it, like anything else. So at the end of the day, you have to wash off your jig and make sure you get the salt taken off of it and all that good stuff. I like to take my jigs home and put them in the sink. The only way you can dissolve salt water completely out of Kevlar or any type of rope material is that you have to really hit it for long periods of time with hot water. That's the only, getting back to high school chemistry, or for me, I have too much chemistry in my background even, I don't even want to think about it. But the only way to dissolve salt is to use hot water. So, and if you're going to, I don't recommend using any type of chemicals to remove salt on your jigs because it's going to degrade your assist cords really quickly. The only chemical that I would use is Dawn dish soap, and that does a really good job of helping loosen up the dirt, and then you hit it with the hot water to dissolve all the salt particles. Now I make my own assist cords. Now what I found was by doubling up the assist cords, that this method has really helped tremendously. It's harder for the fish to bite through two pieces of Kevlar than it is one. It's very nice. And I also tie a single Kevlar assist hook using a snell knot. This makes a good hook set, and it's a good stiff rigged hook. I like snell knots for certain applications. Now I want to talk a little bit about this other material that I'm playing around with, and as you guys know that I like to experiment, and that's how you get better at things. So is to try new stuff. If you get stuck in a rut, then you're only hurting yourself. So I feel it's good to always be using your mind, especially when it comes to fishing. So I'm using I'm trying New England rope. It's the 1.8 millimeter micro soft Dyneema spider line. It has 350 pound breaking strength. Guys, this stuff is pretty badass. So it has fairly decent saltwater absorption resistance, no memory. The specification states that the stretch as 1% is 1% at 20% of the breaking strength, which is really good. I actually like this, as I know I got a little bit of stretch at the end in the event that we hook a giant fish. We catch a lot of sharks on the vertical jigs and on the humps sometimes, and clients like to fight those things. I'm not a fan, but they want to stick it out to the end, and those fights can last quite a while. What I found with this stuff is that it does have superior abrasion resistance. It's stuff that's really strong, it's hard to cut, and it commands the hook very well, similar to Kevlar. It has, it's, as far as UV resistance goes, it's very nice. And it holds up in the heat. It ties very easily. It doesn't sound too good to be true, right? Now, I had heard from a few guys out there that they're using this stuff to make jigging assist cords with, but you're not reading a lot about it, which is what happens in the fishing world until somebody puts it out there. So I'm putting it out there. Now, I know this stuff is badass because I put it through hell over the past 2 years in other applications. I use it as outrigger line. It's the best outrigger line I've ever used, and I've used it all. And if you're a serious fisherman and you fish a lot and you use outriggers a lot, this is the stuff you want to have on your that you want to use. I've used it for chum bags. I use it for bait pen line. I use it to fix things. I don't know. I just like this stuff. It's pretty awesome. So, and guys are using it as teaser reel line in the north right now, and a lot of the professional guys that like to run big dredges and teasers are using it off on their electric teaser reels. Something to think about. So I made up a few assist cords with this stuff, and so far I'm very happy with it. So you can buy the stuff for $29 from West Marine, and I put the link on the show notes and in the specifications that you can check out. And it comes in a few colors to choose from, which is cool. Also, too, I bought a couple of these. I've bought a few packs of these double fang hooks by Owner. They're the 2X number 3 Owner S doubles that I'm going to try out with the super tin finish. Now, these are the same hooks that are on the Shimano Waxwing jigs. The Shimano Waxwing is actually the first vertical jig I ever purchased, and it's a great jig. It just never really worked for me because I just couldn't get the rhythm down with it as far as the jigging goes. But I love the hooks. So I found that Owner, Owner sells them. They're the actual hooks that are used for the Shimano Waxwing. So I bought a couple and I made up some assist hooks, and so I'll share with you guys the results here later this month. I've got a vertical jig charter coming up, but we'll do some live bait mutton fishing, and the guys want to go jig some wrecks. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys with this. Quit buying manufacturer assist hooks and start making your own if you're not already doing so. Lure companies tend to skip on the hardware to save money, and that's the truth. That's all I got. Thanks for listening, and have a good one, guys. Thanks for listening, and as always, please let me know if you have any questions. You can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. I'm going to be doing a question and answer podcast, so definitely email me. You can also find me on Facebook at Good Karma Fishing Charters, Instagram at Good Karma Sport Fishing _FL_Keys, and please also share this podcast with a fellow angler, and make sure to check out my website, goodkarmasportfishing.com, and sign up for the monthly newsletter and free fishing tips. I aim to provide you with fishing tips and information so you can make the best out of your time fishing. Thanks for listening, and remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.